Rhaenyra finally has the Iron Throne, and somehow that may be the exact moment her real danger begins. Because this trailer is not selling victory as peace, it is selling victory as pressure. Pressure to rule, pressure to kill, pressure to prove her father was right, and pressure to become the kind of queen she has spent her whole life hoping she would never need to be. Hey, what's up everyone? Come back to Breakdown Epic. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Now, this House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 3 trailer is doing something really interesting. On the surface, it looks like the Blacks are in the strongest position they have been in for a long time. Rhaenyra has the throne, the Greens have taken major losses, and for the first time in a while, it feels like her side should be able to breathe. But the trailer keeps undercutting that feeling. Every big victory image is paired with warning signs. Every symbol of power comes with tension. And in my opinion, that is the entire point. The episode is not asking whether Rhaenyra can become queen. She already is. The question is what kind of queen she becomes now that she has it. Let's start with Alicent's warning, because I actually think that may be the emotional thesis of the whole trailer. She tells Rhaenyra that she may not be able to rule and remain herself, and that line is massive, because it gets right to the heart of what the episode is building. Rhaenyra wants legitimacy, justice, and her father's faith to be proven right. But the closer she gets to securing all of that, the more the war demands something harsher from her. Alicent is basically saying that power is not asking Rhaenyra to sit on the throne. It is asking her to change. And honestly, I think she is right. Now, what makes this more tragic is that Rhaenyra clearly does not want to become that version of herself.
The trailer gives us multiple moments where she looks like someone trying to hold on to restraint while everything around her keeps pushing toward escalation. That is why her line about justifying Viserys' faith in her matters so much. This is not only political, it is personal. She does not just want to rule, she wants to prove that her father's impossible choice was worth the cost. But here's the problem. Viserys ruled in peacetime weakness. Rhaenyra is trying to rule in wartime fracture. Those are not the same thing. And that is why I think the throne is going to expose her, not complete her. Now, the grip shot on the Iron Throne is one of the best visuals in the trailer. To me, that is not just a queen touching a symbol of power, that is a woman feeling the weight of everything she had to lose to get there. Lucerys is gone. Jace is gone. The path to the throne has already cost her more than she ever wanted to pay, and now that she finally has it, there is no release. There is only more expectation. That is what the close-ups are telling us. She is not calm, she is calculating. She is trying to figure out what comes next before the room around her decides for her. Now, let's talk about Daemon, because I think his role in this episode is going to be huge, even if he is not the one sitting on the throne. Daemon's line about needing to begin tells us exactly where his head is. For him, victory is not a resting point, it is the moment you push harder. That is who he's always been. He does not care about symbolic legitimacy the way Rhaenyra does. He cares about securing power before anyone can challenge it. And in my opinion, that makes him one of the most dangerous influences around her right now. Because if Rhaenyra starts hesitating morally, Daemon is the voice that tells her hesitation is weakness.
That matters a lot when we get into the Daeron problem. The trailer makes it clear that Daeron's existence now has to be dealt with. He is a claimant. He is blood. He is a threat. And if Daemon is the one pushing the idea that he needs to die, then this becomes one of Rhaenyra's first true tests as queen. Can she kill family for stability? Can she cross that line and still claim she is different from the people she is fighting? Personally, I think that is one of the biggest questions Episode 3 is setting up. Now, there is another angle here that I find really interesting, the decoy theory. If the Daeron they think they're targeting is not actually the real Daeron, then that creates a brilliant future complication, because it means the Blacks may believe they have removed a threat, while the real one remains untouched and ready to emerge later. That is the kind of tactical misread this show loves, because it turns a supposed victory into delayed disaster. And if that happens, it would fit the season perfectly. Almost every move right now feels like it could succeed short-term and explode later. Now, let's switch over to Ormund Hightower, because he is quietly one of the most important people in the trailer.
Why? Because he represents the side of the war that is not driven by emotional grief, but by military continuation. He is there to keep the green machine moving. He talks like someone with purpose, and that is dangerous, because while the Targaryens at the center of the story are being shaped by family wounds and personal mythology, Ormund is operating with strategic clarity. He is not trying to process pain, he is trying to win. That is why Tumbleton feels so important. The trailer is loading that location with weight, and I think that's intentional. It's one of those places where the war starts widening beyond palace politics and dragon symbolism into larger battlefield reality. When this story reaches Tumbleton properly, the cost is going to get even bigger. Now, let's get to Aemond, because wow, this man is fully in his conqueror era.
Everything about his Harrenhal footage screams historical cosplay with dragonfire. Burning parts of the castle is not just aggression, it is performance. He wants people to feel that he is carrying some ancient Targaryen destiny forward. He does not just want to be feared, he wants to be remembered. That is what makes him so dangerous now. Because once someone starts believing their violence is part of history's design, every line becomes easier to cross. In my opinion, Aemond is becoming less of a prince with a grudge and more of a man actively trying to mythologize himself in real time. That is terrifying. And it is also why Aegon's continuing resentment matters so much. Because Aegon may be wounded, humiliated, and diminished, but he is not gone. The trailer makes it clear that his anger toward Aemond is still alive, and if he reconnects with Sunfire, then he also reconnects with the last remaining piece of royal identity he still has. That could make him much more dangerous moving forward. Now, let me do a quick character contrast here, because I think the trailer is basically screaming this without saying it. On one side, Rhaenyra is struggling not to become what the throne requires. On the other side, Aemond is leaning harder into exactly what power allows him to become. That difference matters. One still wants to believe power can be moral. The other has already decided morality is irrelevant if legacy is at stake. And if those two worldviews collide more directly, the war becomes much uglier than a simple battle for succession. Now, let's talk about King's Landing, because the trailer is clearly moving us toward that long-awaited shift. Dragons gathering, troops advancing, Daemon inside the Red Keep. It all feels like the moment where Rhaenyra finally stops asking for recognition and starts taking it. And on paper, this should feel triumphant. She is her father's heir. She has suffered for this claim. She has bled for this claim. The city should be the prize. But the trailer keeps poisoning that idea.
Because every image of power is paired with fear, destruction, or prophecy. And that prophecy angle is where I think the episode gets really dangerous. Rhaenyra saying she wants to justify her father's faith makes sense. But if that slowly turns into, "I was meant to do this," or "history itself is confirming I am right," then the show is setting her up for exactly the kind of prophetic trap George R.R. Martin loves. Prophecy in this world is never as clean as the believer thinks it is. It flatters people into disaster. So if Rhaenyra starts believing she is part of something larger and ordained, then Episode 3 may not be the beginning of her victory. It may be the beginning of her transformation into someone far more dangerous. Now, before I finish, let me lock in a prediction. I do not think this episode is going to be remembered for one giant battle. I think it is going to be remembered as the hour where the emotional direction of the season gets fixed in place. Rhaenyra's grief hardens into political necessity. Alicent's warning may define the whole episode.
Daemon is going to push action over mourning. Daeron's existence creates a blood threat that Rhaenyra may not want to confront the way Daemon does. Ormond is becoming more important as the war expands. Aemond is acting more like a conqueror than a prince. Aegon is still angry, and Sunfire could bring him back into the game emotionally. King's Landing is close, and the trailer is making it very clear that the closer Rhaenyra gets to her claim, the more prophecy becomes a poison rather than a promise. So overall, I think Episode 3 could end up being one of the most important emotional episodes of the season, not because it solves the war, but because it decides what kind of people these characters are becoming while the war keeps taking things from them. But anyway, that is my breakdown of the House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 3 trailer and my theories on what I think is coming next. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments, do you think Rhaenyra can sit the throne and still remain herself? Or is the trailer already telling us that the answer is no? I will catch you in the next one.